Welcome back to Post Time. Rebecca Kidner is with us now. She's the attorney for the Delaware Standardbred Owners Association, and she also works very closely with our legislators. That is why I have Rebecca on the show with us today, because we're going to go over a survey. I think there's been a little bit of confusion because there was a survey that came out from the USDA?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Explain that.
I hope people don't get confused. The survey that we are talking about today that's important for our industry is going to be titled the Delaware Horse Racing Survey. So that's what you'll be on the lookout for. There's another survey that we actually weren't a part of and really did not even know was out there. Has to do with agricultural lands, and it's coming from the United States Department of Ag. So a couple of ways you can kind of tell the difference. The United States Department of Ag is about 24 or 5 pages, and ours will be 2.
Woo, I like the sound of that. Okay, so ours is a little, we're hoping that's a little more simple to fill out, and that's kind of why you're here.
Any information that you provide is going to be strictly confidential. They're not turning over, particular information about farms to anyone. This is just going to be used by the Department of Agriculture and the economists at the University of Delaware that are doing the study.
Okay, so you're not going to be on someone's mailing list, so don't worry about that, right? It's going straight to the Department of Ag. Okay.
Exactly. It's also for all types of standardbred, thoroughbreds, and Arabian racing horses. So it's for those people who own and are maintaining foals, that are maintaining brood mares, that have horses that are currently in training, and horses that are currently training and currently racing, and also retired racehorses. So if you just happen to have 3 or 4 retired racehorses that you're giving a nice home to, and they're your pasture ornaments, we still want that information because that's all part of the racing industry.
Yes, it is. I'm glad you mentioned that. Okay.
So the first section is just to identify whether you're with the harness racing or the thoroughbred and Arabian racing, and they want to know if you're an owner or primarily a trainer. Now, I know some people are both. They're filling both positions. So what they wanted to avoid is like double reporting. So just pick one or the other and describe yourself as an owner, and then just include the expenses that you would have as an owner, unless you're an owner and for some reason you have horses in training with somebody else. Then you may have to include the additional expenses that you're paying to some other trainer.
And you can contact your accountant. He's going to have a lot of the numbers for you, and again, call the DSOA, contact the Department of Agriculture if you have any problems, or I shouldn't say problems, but questions about, where the numbers go where. And there's something on the survey as well showing how long you've had horses, right? For the most part, if you're in the harness racing industry, you're in it 12 months out of the year.
Right.
It's not like you're in it 1 to 3 months and then you're not in it the rest of the time,
Right. In section 2, they're asking you how many horses you have because they're trying to get a sense of how big your farm is. And so you'll see they have a breakdown of 1 to 3 months and 4 to 6 months and so forth. That really applies to the thoroughbreds and the Arabians who come to Delaware to race just for a short period of time, and then they're gone the rest of the time. For the most part, I think that standardbred folks are going to be checking for 10 to 12 months, meaning that you've had that horse for the whole year. Because we race year round pretty much. The one thing I like that you said contact your accountant, because when you first look at this, there are lots of little expense columns and it might look a little confusing, but I would really encourage you maybe to just catch up with your accountant and see if they can go through these expenses really quickly with you, because a lot of these are itemized, maybe not to this detail, but they're kind of itemized. And look, if they're not itemized to this detail, just put down what you have from a recent year that was kind of a typical year for you. The Secretary of Agriculture believes that there's about 4,100 people that are employed full-time and part-time in the racing industry as a whole, both thoroughbreds and harness racing, and that's pretty significant because that's more people than are employed in all of the casinos. So it's a lot of people, and it's important to legislators to know that. So in this section 4, they're asking for how many full-time, how many part-time, just the number. They're not asking for the wages paid. And then they also are asking for the acreage that you're using. So even if you're not a horse trainer or owner, but you have a large farm and you're boarding horses, or people are renting your space, you'll still want to include what the acreage is of your farm that's being used for horse-related purposes.
Okay, okay. The main thing here is, I mean, because there are a lot of questions that they ask, is fill it out to the best of your ability. If you have questions, there's people to contact, the Delaware Standardbred Owners Association, Department of Ag, and I really want to touch on the importance of this. You know, back when the Horsemen's Redevelopment Act was in '94, is that right?
Yeah.
Woo, '94. Yeah. It makes you feel a little bit old, right? You know, our legislators, I mean, there were people that were actually racing horses that were representatives or own big farms, but it's kind of a different deal now, isn't it?
It's really different. In 1994, as you said, we had legislators who owned horses. We had legislators who had family members who owned horses. We had legislators who owned feed companies, and horsemen were their regular customers. We had others who owned big farms in Sussex County. That's really changed now. And in 2015, people live, you know, a lot of our legislators live in subdivisions. They don't know anything about the agribusiness economy, and they have no idea what it costs to maintain and to keep racehorses. And really, that is the most important thing. I mean, gives us an opportunity to show legislators and to quantify in some way how much money is being spent to purchase trucks and trailers and feed and pay your veterinarians and all of the things that go along with maintaining and training racehorses. And we really need this number. So I know people are training all morning and taking care of their other horses, and they're racing all night, and the last thing they want to do is fill out more paperwork. I know that's the truth. But this, I would say, think of it as doing yourself a favor and doing the industry a favor, because by providing this information, you're giving some justification for why it's important to have horse racing in our state. And it's because of all the money that's churned and spent to maintain and keep racehorse racing going.
Yeah, and also I want to stress that it's one of those things where horsemen come in and they race their horses and they think, okay, money's great, it's going to be here forever. And that's just not what the deal is. We have to prove to the legislators that we are a huge part of the economy.
Yeah, it's true. I think a lot of people say, well, the legislature's in Dover and, you know, what do they have to do with me? But they're actually deciding exactly how much of every dollar that's spent on the slots goes to horse racing. And it's not a situation where we can just take for granted that money is always going to be the same. In fact, in the last couple of years, there's been a big push to take, I'm talking millions of dollars directly from the horsemen's purses and using that for other things that have to do with the casino industry, but that have nothing to do with us. And we've successfully fought that. But I think our best resource is to say, here are the numbers, and here's why you don't want to minimize or diminish horse racing, and here's why you don't want to take our purse money. So do yourselves a favor and please, please fill out the survey.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope we made our point, okay? Yes, thank you, Rebecca, for being on the show.
Thank you.